Hi, PerspectaWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday, November 13th. Quite an amazing cold air outbreak this morning, showing up with numerous record low temperatures or near record low temperatures throughout the eastern third of the nation, extending all the way from the Gulf Coast to New England. Some incredible readings in the overnight hours. Central Park, New York set the daily low temperature record for today, November 13th, just before midnight. They set the record for yesterday, and that follows a record low temperature from November 8th. So Central Park, New York has had three daily low temperature records in just the past several days here. Philadelphia broke a record all throughout the Mid-Atlantic region. Reading, Allentown, State College, for example, across Pennsylvania broke the daily low temperature record this morning, and in a few locations the all-time low temperature was set for the month of November, which is quite amazing indeed, since we're not even at the halfway point. Usually monthly records tend to be set in the last week or so of a particular month, but the only place this morning where there are no record lows, Florida. And that frontal system is actually working its way from the north to the south across Florida as we speak. Melbourne, for example, has strong northerly winds right now and much cooler air moving in. That frontal system is working its way through Florida, but again, a widespread area of record or near record lows this morning, and that follows yesterday morning, which saw those record lows all the way back into the central U.S., and also included the Ohio and Mississippi valleys. Quite an amazing morning here indeed across much of the eastern U.S. Well, here's kind of an interesting satellite view from the overnight hours. This is from Wisconsin CIMS website. It clearly shows the clouds associated with this Arctic front over the western Atlantic and then cutting through the state of Florida. Again, it's moving from north to south through the Florida Peninsula this morning. You can see many lights across the urban areas in the eastern U.S. and quite an Arctic blast at a little bit more widespread than the last one. This has gone farther to the east, farther to the south, and really all the way past Texas into Mexico. There's some very cold air from this particular outbreak of Arctic air. Well, before we take a look at the surface forecast maps from last night's GFS model, I just want to kind of talk a little bit about the medium term here. And in fact, I believe this colder than normal pattern will continue for much of the central and eastern U.S. through much of the month of November. Now, for some reason, the computer forecast models are kind of having a tough time, let's say a week to two ahead of time, to see this cold air. This is an example here from the NOAA's climate forecast system, the CFS, NOAA's climate model here. And what we're looking at is the forecast of temperature anomalies for the month of November. In this particular case, this is from October 22nd. So just about 9 days ahead of the month of November. The CFS was not seeing any cold air at all across the nation. It had the entire nation warmer than normal. This is almost 180 degrees from what's actually happened. The vast majority of the nation is not only below normal, but in most cases well below normal for the first 13 days of the month of November. This is the update of the CFS by the time we got to November 1st. So by the time we got to the beginning of the month that it's making its forecast for the month of November, it finally picked up on some of the cold air, and even this is underdone compared to what we've seen so far. We're certainly only halfway there, but my point is the computer forecast models are tending to underplay this cold air, and it almost looks like this may be continuing, and we'll show that now next here what the ensemble run of the GFS has done for the medium term in terms of temperature anomalies. Well, what we're looking at here is the forecast from 2 nights ago, the ensemble run of the GFS for 850 millibar temperature anomalies averaged over a 5-day period. In this case, days 12 to 16, running from November 23rd to November 28th. And in fact, it has a little area here of colder than normal conditions in the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast U.S. Again, this is from 2 nights ago. going out to the latter part of the month of November in terms of 850 millibar temperature anomalies. We'll now take a look at what last night's run has done here. This is again the days 11 to 15, the same time period, November 23rd to November 28th. And just look at the flip from 24 hours, from 2 nights ago it looked like this to last night looked like this for the same time period just before Thanksgiving here. So again, the models may be just catching up to this cold pattern here. And again, to me it looks like colder than normal conditions will continue much of the central and eastern U.S. through the rest of November. Again, this is 2 nights ago to last night for the same time period. Seemed to be, kind of be mimicking what happened to the CFS forecast for the month of month of November, from late October to the beginning of the actual month it was making its forecast for November. So again, this is going out medium term, days 12 to, in this case, days 11 to 15, just before Thanksgiving. Well, let's now walk through last night's GFS. This is the operational version of the GFS model here. One thing to look for, the latter part of the weekend and the early part of next week, there'll be a strong storm over the western Atlantic. Some signs that it'll back all the way into the mid-Atlantic region, probably with rain, but it's something that we'll have to watch. And here we are, high pressure overhead today in the mid-Atlantic region, and the winds will not be nearly as big of a factor as they were yesterday. But quite amazingly, temperatures will struggle to reach the mid or upper 30s, and much of the urban corridor from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City. That's just despite a full day of sunshine and no snow on the ground, just indicative of how cold this air mass is. Let's move forward here. Again, we moderate some on the backside of this high for Thursday and even into Friday. Friday we'll see high temperatures pretty well close to the 50-degree mark in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Milder than today, but still below normal for this time of the year. And then we'll have to watch for this particular low pressure system over the southeast U.S., the southwestern part of the Atlantic Ocean. There are some signs that this will become a powerful storm here. And at the same time, we have colder air off to the north and west across southeastern Canada. And here we are by Saturday morning, kind of a cold air mass. Temperatures will tend to drop some 10 degrees in the mid-Atlantic region from Friday afternoon to Saturday afternoon. Probably highs closer to 50 degrees on Friday afternoon and then 40 degrees on Saturday afternoon in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, for example, as that cold high pressure starts to take control. Frontal system overnight Friday night will lead to the colder conditions as we begin the weekend. And then again, we'll have to watch this low pressure area as it slowly works its way up the Atlantic seaboard. Even some frozen precipitation in this particular forecast map for Sunday morning, maybe in the form of sleet, kind of a departing cold high pressure off to the north. This looks like this will have some strong winds over the western part of the Atlantic Ocean. We'll have to see if that backs up to the north and west and impacts the mid-Atlantic region. We're talking late in the weekend, early part of next week. There's some signs for even another coastal type low later next week. So a lot going on here in the world of weather. But the big story today will be the Arctic chill in the eastern third of the nation. Despite plenty of sunshine, temperatures will struggle to pass through the 30s in much of the I-95 corridor region. That's it for now. For PerspectaWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.